First of all, I do want to ask you about Malka Leifer. She's due to arrive in Melbourne today. That must be of some relief to you.
Oh, look, it's a massive relief, and especially I think for the alleged victims in this case and all of those who've been watching this case closely. I mean, this has been a process that's been going on for 7 years now. I first handed over the extradition request for Malka Leifer in 2014 when I was then the ambassador to Israel. It's been through 74 court hearings, and the fact that she's touching down in Melbourne today and is likely to face a Melbourne court this week to face these 74 separate charges of child sexual abuse, I think is just an immense relief for many people, and especially I want to pay tribute here to Dassi and Nicole Ehrlich, who've been tremendous campaigners to bring Malka Leifer home.
OK, just as we were talking about there, Dave, Matt Canavan announced a manufacturing plan yesterday he believes can create some 800,000 jobs over the next 15 years. It all relates to coal. What's your reaction to that?
Well, look, I'm pro-manufacturing in Australia, and I think we've got a good set of policies in place to support it, including our modern manufacturing agenda. I think where I differ respectfully here with Matt, though, is that, you know, I don't think the jury's out on this. I think that the lowest cost of new energy generation sources is renewable energy, and that's even when you add in the costs of firming, either with gas or batteries or pumped hydro, and that cost curve is only coming down as time goes up. Coal, in fact, is going up because it's becoming less investable as an asset. So, look, I want to see cheaper and more affordable power, because that will, and more reliable power, because that will help boost our manufacturing sector. But the way to do that is to help smooth the transition of all these renewables into the grid, invest in the interconnections and the infrastructure and the storage, and that's exactly what we're doing with our policies.
The problem with renewables, and the critics, and Matt Canavan say this though, that key word, it's unreliable. Has he got a point there?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you know, if you look around the world at the experience, you need to have the storage solutions and you need to have the firming capacities. But, you know, we've got a whole lot of projects in the works. We've got the Battery of the Nation, which is bringing Tasmania online as a pumped hydro storage. We've got Snowy 2.0. We've got, you know, gas peaking plants, including proposals here in New South Wales. And, you know, we fully expect that around 2030, technologies like hydrogen and large-scale battery storage are going to come online. I mean, this is where the whole world's energy future is positioning. It's not just Australia's. I think it would be odd if we bucked global trends and cost curves and market pressures and investor sentiment, all these issues, and went back to what's really a legacy asset now.
If Matt Canavan's plan is unlikely to be green-lit, given what the government has already announced, it's kind of moving itself away from coal, what do you believe that they're playing at here? What's the point of it?
I think that's very dangerous terrain for me to speculate about, you know, whatever's going on internally in another political party. I would say, though, look, you know, I welcome the contribution of Matt and others to the policy debate on this. It doesn't mean we're always going to agree on everything, but I think the main purpose of his paper is what can we do to support more manufacturing in Australia, and I think that's an area where we should all be concerned. And I think the solution, I think the government thinks this as well, is to focus on areas where we've got a comparative advantage. And for me, I mean, Australia is incredibly well endowed with renewable energy, with solar and wind assets. And we should be able to produce some of the lowest cost renewable energy in the world, given that asset mix. And that should mean that we can get into manufacturing things like hydrogen as a fuel, like low emissions or zero emissions aluminium, like low emissions or zero emission steel. And we could see the potential reindustrialisation of Australia off the back of that renewable energy asset base.
Dave, I've only got a minute left, but I do want to ask you about Xi Jinping speaking at the World Economic Forum. A couple of comments he said. He's warned against a new Cold War. He says that the strong, and quote here, strong should not bully the weak. Decisions should not be made by simply showing off strong muscles or waving a big fist. What do you make of what he said?
Well, I don't know, I didn't see him deliver it, so I'm not sure if there was any irony intended with his remarks, but I'd say that I hope the rest of the Chinese government and the system heeds his words and follows them, because certainly Australia's view that the strong shouldn't bully the weak, including in trade relationships. It's certainly Australia's view that the rules-based multilateral order, be it the World Trade System, be it the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, has served us well, and we want to see big nations like China continue to support it. So I think his words were very welcome. I'd like to see them translated into action by his officials.